So today's topic is full stack development, and we'll be using Java for the full stack today. So here, full stack Java development, and what kind of applications or application we'll be developing. So we'll be developing today web application. That is why it is full stack Java web development. Full stack means we are not going to develop a standalone application like which will be installed in computer. We'll be developing a web application like websites. Okay. And we'll be using Java. So the topic is full stack Java web development. And what is this full stack? Full stack means we'll be working on front end, back end, database, APIs, and everything. Like in few companies, there are some front end developers, there are some back end developers, there are some database developers, cloud engineers. But in full stack, you have to know all the things for the application development, like from front end to back end to database, testing and all. So you have to know all the things here. That is why it is called full stack. Full. You are not like specific kind of developer, like a front end developer or back end developer or database developer. You know everything, whatever is required for a complete software development. Like in other words, you can also say it complete application development or complete software development or full software development. We'll see today how a complete software is developed from front end to back end, but I'll give you basic examples because it is not possible in 2 hours to like explain you everything about full stack development because it takes time. If you learn all these things, it will take around 6 months, but in just 2 hours, it is not possible to like explain you about everything. But I'll make you understand everything clear about full stack development, like what is full stack, how we can easily develop applications, like how to be confident enough that we can develop applications, because the topic is not like that hard. It is easy, but you just have to know few basic things. Like the first thing is core Java. The first thing is core Java you have to know. SQL structured query you have to know. Front end you have to know. Java framework like Spring Boot you have to know, because here we'll be using Spring Boot for the framework for the backend. You have to know the API basic, microservices basic, so that you can start the development. If you do any course, if you enroll for any course for the full stack development, so they like teach you these topics at first. Then they start working on the development part, because these are the basic things you need to know before entering into like full stack software development. These are the topics which you also learn in full stack development, because full stack, like, we don't start at the day one. We start with core Java. You have to know everything about classes and objects, exception handling, multi-threading. inheritance, data types, and all grammar part. Then SQL part, like how to create or design tables, how to perform CRUD operations. Front end part, like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then after these three topics, we start working on Spring Boot. Like for the Java project, we use Spring Boot. Okay. Then API, application programming interface. Today, every application includes API, is integrated with the API. Because if you are working on an e-commerce project, you have to use payment gateway API. If you are working on a travel application like transportation, Ola, Uber, you have to use Google Map API. If you are working on a project like this, Microsoft Teams, you have to use WebRTC API, where you can share your screen, like you can make audio calls, video calls, screen sharing, recording option. Okay. So for this kind of application, you need to know a WebRTC API, Web Real-Time Communication, WebRTC. If you have any kind of like email thing in your application, so you have to learn Mail API. So for everything, for every task, we have predefined APIs, which you have to learn. And what do you have, like, what do you learn in these APIs? Like the syntaxes, how we can use these APIs, how we can write or how we can call to specific methods. So today we'll like see how this API works, how this Spring Boot works, what is front end, what is back end. Okay. How do we configure a complete project? This is the first thing. The first thing is configuring a project, a Spring Boot project. So for this topic, configuring a Spring Boot project, to start working on a Spring Boot project, you have to have few applications or configurations installed in your computer where you're supposed to like start development. So what are those things? This is the first thing before starting the development part. So configuring a Spring project. So you can only configure a Spring project in your computer if you have few things configured or installed. So what are those? Okay. Those are JDK, Java Development Kit. You have to have JDK installed on your PC. Without JDK, you cannot execute a Java program, a basic Java program. So you cannot execute Spring Boot project because it is also a Java program, a Java project. So to execute a Java project into a PC, you have to install JDK at first. So with JDK, you can start working on Java project, like core Java project. But if you want to work on Spring project and like Maven, we'll be using Maven here. Okay. So for the dependencies, so you have to configure Maven into your PC. Install JDK into your PC. The first thing is install JDK into your PC. And the second thing is configure Maven into your PC. If you have installed JDK, if you have configured Maven, then you can start working on Spring project. And for any kind of project, for any type of like web applications or like Spring project, you have to use an IDE. You can use Eclipse, you can use NetBeans, you can use Microsoft Visual Studio Code, VS Code. So I'll be using here VS Code for this project. I'll be using here VS Code. I have VS Code installed into my PC. So it is easy to use. You can also use NetBeans. You can also use Eclipse. Eclipse is developed by IBM. NetBeans is developed by Oracle. And this Visual Studio Code, VS Code, is developed by Microsoft. So I personally use this Visual Studio Code. So you have to install an IDE into your PC. You have to install any IDE, whatever you want, whatever you prefer, whatever you are comfortable with. If you are comfortable with Eclipse, you can also do these things there. If you are comfortable with NetBeans, you can also use NetBeans. But here we'll be using Microsoft Visual Studio Code. It is very easy. You can also use this VS Code. So install VS Code into your PC. So after installing JDK, configuring Maven, and installing an IDE, I am using here VS Code. So what version of JDK you have to install? You can install JDK 8, JDK 11, JDK 17, whatever you want. I have like, let me check what what JDK version I have installed into this PC. So how do you check the version? Window R, CMD. Go to this command prompt. I have JDK installed into this PC. Okay, so Java space minus minus version. So I have Java 17. Okay, you can have 11, you can have 8. I have 17. Okay, so I have Java 17. Java C minus minus version. It is also 17. So what is this Java and Java C? Java is the interpreter. Java C is the compiler. You might have heard that Java has compiler and interpreter both. Okay, Java has both compiler and interpreter. So what is the name of Java compiler? So the Java compiler is Java C. And what is the name of Java interpreter? Java interpreter is Java. Okay, so Java is the Java interpreter, and I have installed Java 17. Okay, let me check if there is like MVN configured or not. So MVN space minus minus version. So wait, it is blinking. It will show you the MVN version. The MVN means Maven. I have installed Apache Maven 3.8.6. Okay. So I have installed JDK 17. I have configured MVN 3.8.6. So installing JDK is not that difficult. Installing JDK is not that difficult. You can easily install like a basic application. Just like double click, next, next, continue, okay, next. Okay. So installing JDK is easy, but configuring Maven, you have to know how to configure Maven into your PC. So to configure Maven into your PC, I'm showing you how you can configure Maven. Configure Maven on Windows. Okay. So you have to remember this website, phoenixsnap.com. How to install Maven on Windows. Step 1. Go here. So Apache Maven is a build automation tool designed to provide a comprehensive and easy to use way of developing Java applications. It uses a POM, project object model. Okay. Here in every Spring Boot project, we have a POM file, .pom file. So POM's full form is project object model. It is an approach to create a standardized development environment for multiple teams. Okay. So I'll show you what is this. So this is the step 1. You have to download Maven zip file and extract. This is the step-by-step process. To download Maven zip file, visit the Maven download page. Right click, open a new tab. Just go here and here you can see these are the files. So which file you have to download? Here you can see this is in red mark like binary zip archive, and in link column binary zip archive. So this is the binary zip archive. In link column you have to download this. Okay, this file. After downloading this, since there is no installation process, Maven is not installed on any PC. It is configured. Okay, because it is not the executable file. It is a directory which contains so many files and folders. So since there is no installation process, extract the Maven archive to a directory of your choice. You can extract this downloaded Maven zip file into whatever directory you want. If you have any space in your C drive, you can also put it in C drive, extract it into C drive. You can also extract it into D drive, E drive, whatever drive you want. Okay. So extract this by clicking right click and extract. Okay. To extract, you have to install like some WinRAR like applications. Okay. So after extracting this, you will see these file folders, 4 folders and 3 files into the extracted folder. So you have to just copy this URL like this PC C program files Maven Apache Maven 3.8.4. After copying this, add Maven home system variable. And for this, what you have to do? You have to edit the system environment variable. Search here, system environment variables. Click here. Okay. So in system environment variable, just click environment variables. Here we have environment variables. Just click on environment variables. After this, click the new button under system variable. See, this is system variable. This is user variable. So this is system variable. In system variable, click on new. In this is system variable, click on new. Variable name, variable value. So in variable name, just write Maven underscore home in capital. Variable name, just copy and paste that directory address where you have extracted the zip folder, zip file, like C program files, Maven Apache. If you have extracted that file into your D drive, just write here the path. Okay. After this, click on OK. Again, add Maven home directory path variable. In system variable, we have done. Okay. After this, edit the path variable. See, this is the path variable in system variables. This is the path. You have to edit this. Okay. In path, just click on edit. After clicking edit, click new button in edit environment variable. New edit environment variable. This is edit environment variable. Click on new. Okay. And here enter %maven underscore home %/bin in the new field. Okay. And click OK. Okay. Click OK. Everything is done. Now you have to check whether it is configured or not. Go to command prompt, write mvn space minus minus version. See, it is configured. I have configured it previously, but I have like shown you how to configure this Apache Maven into a PC. So these two things are basic thing which you have to have in your PC where you want to start working on a Spring Boot project. Without JDK and Maven, you cannot start working on Spring Boot project. As it is a Java project, it means you have to have JDK installed on your PC. We'll be using Maven. You have to configure like Maven into your PC. And for any project development, we need any IDE in which you are comfortable with. So I am comfortable with VS Code. I'm also comfortable with Eclipse and Netbeans, but I have not installed every IDE on my PC. I use personally Visual Studio Code, VS Code. Okay, it is easy to use. I'll show you how we can create projects into VS Code. Okay, so you have to install VS Code. So you can install JDK 8, 11, or 17, whatever you want, or whatever you have already in your PC. You can start with that. You have to configure Maven. Without this, you cannot work on Spring Boot project. And you have to install VS Code, as I have. How do you download and install VS Code? Just go on the Google and search download VS Code. Okay, download Visual Studio Code. Here, if you have Mac, Debian or Linux RPM, Red Hat Package Manager, or Windows. As I have Windows, just click here Windows. The downloading will be started. Thanks for downloading. Okay. So you can start and installation is easy as normal software. Just click on like double click on the application and then next continue. Okay, next. That is the process. So after these three things, now you have to open VS Code IDE. See, this is the VS Code IDE into my computer. So in VS Code, you have to configure something, few things like VS Code is not made for specific like Java or Python or PHP or anything. Okay, it is not a specific. It is not made for a specific language. But you have to configure something for the development part. Like if you are supposed to start working with Java, you have to configure some Java things here. If you want to start working with Python, you have to configure some Python things. Okay. So here we'll be working on Java. So this is the project explorer. This is extension. You have to click on the extension. You have to install the extension here. What extension you need to have? So just write here Java. The Java extension pack. You have to have internet also. Okay. The extension pack for Java. You have to install this extension. I already have this extension installed on my computer, but you just have to install this extension pack. Okay. The first thing is extension pack for Java. You have to install. After installing this extension pack, it will automatically install Maven, Debugger, Project Manager, Text Runner, everything. See, extension pack for Java, language support, Debugger, Test Runner, Maven, Project Manager, IntelliCode. This is like an extension, a pack. It is a pack. It is a package. Package means it contains few things. It is not a single thing. It has few things inside this package. Okay. So the first thing you need to install in this Visual Studio Code is extension pack for Java. The second thing is Spring Initializer Java support. You have to install this extension and nothing else. You just have to install these two extensions. If you don't find in this list Spring Initializer, you just write here Spring. Okay. So Spring Initializer, Boot Tools, Spring Boot Dashboard, Spring Boot extension. You just install Spring Initializer Java support and nothing else. You have to install this and nothing else. Okay. So after installing VS Code, what extensions need to be installed? The first one is extension pack for Java. And second thing is Spring Initializer. These two extensions you need to install. Then you can start working on Spring Boot Java project. So these are the things you need to configure. And the important thing is you have configured everything into your PC. But after the project development, like if you have completed the development part, then at the time of deployment into application into your server, deployment of your application into the server, you have to configure JDK and Maven into the server also. Our computer is like client and it will also act like a server. But for the actual deployment on the cloud, you need to configure this into server as well. But if you are a full stack developer, you should know how to configure a cloud server for Java application, how to deploy a Java application into a virtual server, a cloud server, what things to be configured and installed into the server so that we can easily execute the Spring Boot project on the server. Right now, we are on local computer. I have installed JDK into my PC. I have configured Maven into my PC. My PC is local PC. It is not server. Okay, but after the development of this project, if you want to deploy it into cloud, into server, to make it live for every user so that anyone can open it through their browsers. So you have to configure everything into server as well. So that is the different part. That is like a cloud engineer can also do those things. So let's start the development. So just start Visual Studio Code. And here you can create a Java project in this Explorer. Like when you start Visual Studio Code, you can see few commands here. Okay, show all commands, Control Shift P. So Control Shift P. You can see here you can search anything like what you want to do. So Spring Initializer, create a Maven project. See, you have to click on this. Spring Initializer, create a Maven project. So this is the first step which you can do. The other process is click here Explorer, create Java project. Okay, so no build tool, Maven, Gradle, Spring Boot. Okay, so here Spring Boot, just click here. Okay, Spring Boot Maven project, specify Spring Boot version, click on 2.7.6, 3.0.0 has some error problem. Okay, so just click on 2.7.6. This is the Spring Boot version. Specify project language. We'll be using Java. Here you have to use group ID, then next artifact ID, then next like packaging type, jar Java archive or web archive. Just go with Java archive. What Java version you have? I have 17. If you have 11 or 8, you can click on that. I have 17. Dependencies. Escape means बाहर निकल जाओ. So this is the process. So you can start with here, create Java project, or you can also start with here, show all commands, Control Shift P, Control Shift P. So click on create Maven project Spring Initializer. Which version? 2.7.6 Spring version. Which language? Java. This is the group ID. I'll tell you everything about what is group ID and artifact ID. In artifact ID, enter jar, Java 17. These are the dependencies. Escape. बाहर निकलो. So these two methods you can use to create a Spring project. So let's create a Spring project step by step. So these are the two methods you can use to create a Spring project. So just start with this show all command, Control Shift P. Okay, Control Shift P. So what option you have to start with? Go with Spring Initializer, create a Maven project. Okay, specify Spring Boot version. Which Spring Boot version you will be using into this project? So we'll be using 2.7.6. Specify project language. Which language you are going to use for this project? So we'll be using Java. This is the group ID. See, this is the important thing, group ID and artifact ID. What is a group ID and what is an artifact ID? Group ID is basically the project ID. Group ID and artifact ID. Group ID, artifact ID. Group ID means project ID. Artifact ID means part ID. This is the project ID and this is the part means small part of this complete project. So what we do here, basically like there is an application which a team is supposed to start working on. Okay, like we are 10 people here and we want to start working on a project. We 10 people want to start working on the same project, but we 10 people are not like at the same place. Everyone is at his home. So I'll create a Java project at my PC. You will create a Java project into your PC. So we all people have to write the same group ID. Like if I am writing here, take dot octaculus. You can also write com.java. You can also write whatever you want. This is the group ID, like package ID. Okay, this is the group ID, project ID, and at the end, the package name will be like your group ID and then part ID. Okay, so like my company is octaculus.tech. Our company's website domain name is octaculus.tech. So I have used this group ID. If your company is google.com, you can write group ID as com.google. Okay, if your company is facebook.com, or you can also have google.com, no problem. You can write whatever group ID you want. it will be used later as your package. Okay, like facebook.com. I can also use octaculus.tech. I'm using my domain name octaculus.tech. You can use google.com, facebook.com, or com.facebook, com.google, tech.octaculus, whatever you want. So this is the project ID. If we 10 people are working on the same project, so we all have to write the same group ID for our project. That is, project is the same for everyone, but everyone is doing his or her own part. Like if I am responsible for payment part, if someone is responsible for search part, if someone is responsible for uh, an API part, if someone is responsible for Google Map API part, if someone is responsible for order processing, if someone is responsible for like return policy. So we all people are working on the same project, but the part is different. I am working on some different part, you are working on some different part, but everyone's project is same. We are working on the same project, but the part is different. So this is the part ID. This is the group ID. So we all people have to write group ID, same group ID, but our part ID will be different. Okay. So this is the group ID, means input group ID for your project. Like this is the project ID. So if our company name is like octaculus.tech, the domain name is, we can also use the domain name. Okay. So I am using tech.octaculus. Enter. Okay. Now it is asking for artifact ID. So we have set project ID. We all have to set at our PC the same project ID, but we all have different artifact ID. If I am working on the payment, I use here payment. This is the artifact ID. And what will be my whole project packaging ID? So it will be group ID, then your artifact ID. So if I am using here payment in artifact ID, so what will be the package? So the package will be take.octaculus.payment. Okay. If you are working on order, so your project ID means group ID will be take.octaculus. Okay. And here order, artifact ID will be order. And what will be used packaging structure? Take.octaculus.order. It will automatically create the packaging structure. Okay. So if I am working on the like site the web page, if someone is like accessing abcd.com or tech.octaculus, what website will be redirected first? So like this is the landing page. I am working on the site. What packaging type? After developing this project, what will be your packaging type? Like a file, a jar file or var file. This is the file type. Like .mp3 means audio song, .mp4 means video song, .jpeg picture, .txt text file. So .jar means jar file, .var file. Jar means Java archive, var means web archive. Basically, if you are working on a web project, you should select var, or jar can accept all type of packaging things. If you are working on standalone applications, you can also have jar. If you are working on web application, you can also have jar. Jar is for everything. Okay. So packaging type jar. Specify Java version. Java means JDK, Java Development Kit. So I have installed Java JDK 17 into my PC. So let's go with this 17. Now, this is the final step. Here, you have to enter the dependencies you want to have in your project. Now, the question is, what is dependency? The question is, What is dependency? Dependency means like our project, in our project, we are going to use MySQL. In our project, we are going to use Hibernate, the framework. In our project, we are going to use Google Map API. If we are going to use Mail API into our project, if we are going to use Web RTC, real-time communication API, into our project. So these are like third-party applications, APIs, which we want to use in our application. If you want to use any third-party application into your project, so you have to add those third-party applications, those third-party APIs, jar files into your project as a dependency. We call them dependency. Like I will be using MySQL into this project. So you have to add MySQL dependency. We'll be using JPA, Java Persistence API. So we'll be adding JPA as a dependency here. So dependency means third party things. Like those things are not ours. Those are already like created or developed by third party, some other vendor, some other one. Like if you want to use Google Map into your application. So Google Map has already built Google Map tool, or Google Map, you can also say dependency, or Google Map jar file, a Google Map Spring Boot project. So they have already created that small project, which you can include into your project. That is called dependency. So dependency means here there are so many n number of third party applications, third party jar files are available in the market. If you want to use a specific dependency in your project, you can add that particular dependency into your project here. Okay, so we'll be using Spring. So Spring Web, if you are working on Spring MVC, model view controller, Spring REST APIs, API development, Spring application. So this is the basic dependency which you have to use in every application. If you are working on a web project, web application. So Spring Boot, like for Spring Boot, we have to use this dependency Spring Web. Now we'll be using MySQL. But you have to have internet for this. Okay, without internet, it will not work. So MySQL driver. Now we want Spring Boot DevTools. Spring Boot DevTools. What this dependency is used for? So this is used for fast application restart, live reload. Okay, like every time you make any change into your application, into your code, every time you have to restart the server. But it is very difficult to restart the server every time, every minute. So if you add this Spring Boot DevTools dependency, it will automatically restart your server every time you make any small change into your application. Whatever small change you make into your application, every time it will restart the application. So this is the important tool we have to add in every project. So we have selected these three. It is not compulsory to add all the dependencies at this time, at the project like creating time. You can add them later also if you forgot this. Okay. So we'll be using Lombok also. Okay. What is Lombok? Lombok dependency is used for like what is written here? Java annotation library, which helps to reduce boilerplate code. It means you don't have to write that much code. Whatever is like required in every project, You just have to write a small single word thing, which I'll show you what is this. That is called annotation. So with the use of small annotation, a single word, you can have, you can skip writing hundreds of lines of code. You don't have to write everything these days. We have so many tools here which will help you to reduce writing the lines of codes. You don't have to write every line of code. They will do that, everything for you. That is called rapid application development. These days, everything is developed using rapid application development. That is why we are using here framework. Spring, what is Spring Boot? It is a framework which will help you in configuring Java project, Java web application project, in everything. Project structure, folder structure, it will create everything for you. You just have to tell him. 1 minute. So frameworks we have to use these days. If you are a Java developer, you have to learn Spring Boot framework. If you are a Python developer, you have to learn Django framework. If you are a PHP developer, you have to learn Laravel framework. Every language has a framework. So as we are working on Java, okay, Java is used everywhere for the enterprise applications. So for Lombok, Lombok will help you to reduce writing hundreds of lines of code. It will write hundreds of lines of code for you. You don't have to write that, because without code, our project will not work. But you don't have to write those lines of those lines of codes. This Lombok will write that. I'll show you how to use this. So Lombok is very important tool which we have to use in our every project. So these 4 dependencies we have, and the last one is JPA, Java Persistence API. Like if you are like suppose if you are supposed to use Hibernate into your project. What is this Hibernate? This is a kind of API which we'll be using for our databases. Like for MySQL, I don't want to write SQL query. I want someone to write this SQL query for me. Sometimes we don't know, or we don't have that expertise in every SQL code. But don't worry about that. There are so many things in frameworks which will help you in everything. Like here, you don't have to write SQL query. It is all like everything is written already. You just have to call a method. It will do every SQL thing behind that method automatically. We don't have to write SQL code. So we'll be using Hibernate. Let's start with these 5 dependencies. Means I want to use MySQL. I want to use Spring Boot DevTools for restart server life. I want to use Lombok so that we don't have to write every code ourselves. It will automatically write it for us. And select 5 dependencies, press enter to continue. Press enter to continue. So where we want this project to be opened or saved on desktop, like Java learning. Okay. So on desktop, I want to generate this project into Java learning folder. So generate into this folder. Okay. Downloading zip package. So successfully generated. Open. I want to open that project. See here, it has created this structure like MVN VS Code, SRC, in SRC main, in main Java resources, in Java site application, in resources, static, template, application to property. देखो pom.xml, project object model. What is this POM file? POM file contains every information about your project, like your project name, your project ID, your artifact ID, your Java version, your Maven version, Spring Boot version, dependency detail, what dependencies you have added into this project. You can see here. See, group ID. This is the parent group ID. Like this is as this is the Spring project. So this is the parent group ID. Which Spring Boot version you are using here? 2.7.6. Group ID. This is the parent, but this is the project. Group ID. What is this? Take.octaculus. Artifact ID. We have used site. Java version 17. In dependencies, this is the first dependency Spring Boot started JPA. Second dependency Spring Wave. Third dependency Dev Tools. Fourth dependency MySQL connector. Fifth dependency Lombok. This is the Spring Boot starter. It is added by default in every Spring Boot. Okay. So these are the dependencies which we have added at the time of project creation. But later you can add these dependencies. Where you can find these dependencies on internet so that you can copy paste those dependencies here. Just go to the browser. MVN means Maven. mvnrepository.com. mvnrepository.com. If you remember this website, you can search here the dependencies you want. But if you don't remember this website, the website is MVN repository, but you don't remember the URL, then just simply write Maven dependency. Okay. And when you search Maven dependency, it will return you these website URLs in search result. So you can get mavenrepository.com, mvnrepository.com. Just go to this website and search here for your dependency. Like I am searching here for MySQL. Enter. These are MySQL. MySQL connector J, MySQL connector Java, MySQL connector J. Click here. Okay. So this is the version 8.0.31. Click here. See, this is Maven, Gradle, SBT, IV, Grape. Okay. We are using Maven. So Maven, you can select and copy everything, copy and paste, or you can just copy this dependency. See com.mysql, MySQL connector J. Okay. See here in MySQL dependency, group ID com.mysql. See group ID com.mysql, artifact ID MySQL hyphen connector hyphen J, artifact ID MySQL hyphen connector hyphen J, version 8.0.31. We don't have mentioned here any version. So by default, it will take the latest version. Okay. If you don't write the version, it will take the latest version. So this is the latest version also. So this is the dependency for MySQL. If you want JPA, Java Persistence API, Spring Boot Starter JPA, click here. These are the versions. Just go with the latest version. See, dependency group ID is org.springframework.boot. For JPA, the group ID is org.springframework.boot. Okay. And artifact ID is Spring Boot Starter Data JPA. Spring Boot Starter Data JPA. So you can copy paste from here also. But if you mention every dependency at the time of project creation, it will automatically add it to your project. Okay. Okay. You can also add the dependencies later. So this is the project object model. Now we have to configure. Now we have to configure. 1 minute. एक सेकंड, एक कॉल कर लेते हैं थोड़ा. So now, as we have created this project, so there are other some methods which you can use to create this project. There is some online methods like start.spring.io. Okay, this is a website used to create a Spring project. Okay, start.spring.io. Like project is Maven, language Java, Spring Boot 2.7.6, group ID check.octaculus, artifact ID, site, name whatever you can use, like demo Spring project. Okay, package name take.octaculus.site. Okay, packaging jar Java version 17. Like dependencies here you can add MySQL. Okay, again JPA, again add dependencies, wave, Spring Wave. Again you can add dev tools, developer tools. Again, what is left? Lombok, and then generate. This will generate the jar file. Generate. Okay, see, it is generated. Now you can extract this and then open that folder into this Visual Studio Code. So this is another method for generating the folder structure. This is your project folder structure. Okay. Now, what are like these files? XML file, I have already told you, like this is, it contains, like this contains your project information, like project ID, like group ID, artifact ID, Java version, Spring Boot version, dependencies, and all. Okay. Now let's come to the application.properties. What is this file? So this file is used, application.properties. This file is used for configuring so this is application.properties file. What this application.properties file is for? So it is for configuring your databases. Okay. Your database, like we are using here MySQL. Okay. So we have to configure MySQL database here. So how you can configure MySQL? So we have to write few codes, which you can also find on internet, that what to write here. Okay. So this is called data source. Spring application properties, search here. Spring application properties file data source. Okay. The common application properties. Common application properties. Just go here. Four properties are like this. Okay. And if you see, want to example, Spring application properties example. Spring Boot application properties. If you find any on any website, then it is okay. Otherwise, I'll write here the code. Nothing is mentioned. Spring Boot application properties. See, this is the code you have to copy paste and configure it. Okay. एक मिनट, एक मैसेज बार बार. तो for MySQL, as we are using MySQL, just copy paste this. Copy paste. Copy paste here. Okay. But you have to make some changes. What changes you have to make? Like spring dot data source dot URL is okay. JDBC MySQL. Here you have to write localhost. Like JDBC MySQL, JDBC MySQL colon slash slash localhost 3306. Here you have to write localhost. Okay. Second. So localhost 3306, and this is the database name. Okay. So like let's have a name. Microsoft. We are creating or like working, we'll be working on Microsoft database. So if there is a Microsoft database already created, then it is okay. Otherwise, it will raise an exception or error. So if you are not sure that if this Microsoft database is already created or not, you can write here question mark. Okay. And create database if not exist equal to true. So if you write here after question mark that create database if not exist, okay, create database if not exist, it means, what does this mean? True means if Microsoft database already created, then it is okay, use that for this project. Everything, every table will be created into this database. Or if this database is not created yet, so just create it now. It is good practice. Okay. Spring data source username. Spring dot data source username. What is the username of MySQL at my PC? The username is root. By default, it is root. And what is the password? Password is also root for MySQL at my PC. If you have used another password at your PC, so you just write here the password. This is the username. Username is always root for MySQL. And the password will be root because I have a root password. Okay. Now, spring.jpa.hibernate DDL auto. It is update. It is okay. You have to write this. Just write it here. Okay. And something is missing. Like Spring JPA properties Hibernate. Spring dot JPA dot properties dot Hibernate. As we are using Hibernate. Okay. So dialect equal to org.hibernate dot dialect and then MySQL 5 InnoDB, sorry, capital DB, InnoDB dialect. So these are the configuration things for your database. Like I have written URL, provided the URL here, like JDBC MySQL localhost Microsoft, the database name. Or you can also write whatever you want the database name to be. Okay. And create database if not exist, true. So root is the username, root is the password for MySQL at my PC. You have to write it here, and you have to also write this statement. So we have configured MySQL. This is the MySQL configuration. Configuration is the most important thing for any Spring project. Okay. Configuration is the most important thing for any Spring project. Okay. So after this, as we are working on a web project, so we do have some web pages. And here we'll be using .jsp kind of pages. Java server page. The configuration is important. Okay. If we configure, we have successfully configured everything, then you can start with the development part. So as I'm like training you, if you are new in Spring Boot field, in Java application development field, that is why I'm like explaining everything. But if you know everything, it just takes maximum 5 minutes to create and configure a Spring Boot project. After that, we can start working on the project. But as I am taking some time because I am explaining you everything, that what is artifact ID, what is group ID, what is POM file, what is application properties. Okay. So we will work on JSP, Java server page. Like every web page will be .jsp. So like where we will create JSP pages, like web pages. So in main, create a folder, new folder means package, web app. Okay. Web app. And in web app, create another folder, web inf. In web inf, create another folder, view. View means you can also use whatever name you want. Like this is MVC, model view controller, Spring MVC. Okay. So in model view controller, what is view? View means web page. What you want to display. Okay. In view, create new file, index.jsp. See, this is the JSP page. Okay. And in JSP page, that is the web page. Like just write a title. It is the front end part you have to learn. Then you can understand it. Like my first Java Spring Boot project. Okay. My first Java Spring Boot project. And body, just write in H2 tag, heading 2. Write this. Okay. So when a user runs this application or we run this application, we want this page to be opened by default. Okay. So this is the first web page. Let's start the running the application. But right now it will not like completed. It is not completed. So this is the site application. This is the main class, main file. This file you have to run if you want to run this project. So run this project, run. See, what is it saying? Tomcat started on port 8080. Okay. So how you can see this if it is running or not? The project is running successfully. Okay. So just go here, write localhost or port number 8080. Localhost colon port number 8080. What it is returning? White label error page. It means your Spring Boot project is running. It is some different kind of error. Like this application has no explicit mapping for /error. Like there was an unexpected error, type not found, status 404. Few people say it 4, not 4. 404 means web page not available, which you are want to like search for. See, google.com. This is the web page it is returning. And if you like using google.com/my page, what it is returning? 404. If you are a web developer, you have to know these error types. Like what is the meaning of this error? 404. 404 means 4 not 4. Requested URL/my page was not found on this server. On this server, my page is not found. The same way here, as we have executed this in my local PC, it is not able to find the specific page which we are supposed to see. So we have to fix this error. For every page, you have to add page mapping. You have to map everything, every request. This is called request, and it is called response. For this request, you have got this response. For this request, URL means request. For this request, you have got this response. And for this request, google.com, you have got this page as a reference. Okay, so I want my index.jsp, this index.jsp page as a response when someone requests this, like abc.com or something, like anything. This is the URL. For this URL, like slash. Okay, you can add google.com or like google.com/, both are same. So for this /request, I want this index.jsp page. So what you have to do? You have to map every request here. Where? In this site, like tech.octaculus. This is your project ID and this is artifact ID site. In site, click folder. Folder means package. Okay. So package controller. Okay. Package means controller. So in controller, new file, create a class file, url controller.java class. Okay. So you can write whatever class name you want, but this is meaningful URL controller because this is called URL. Okay. So I have created a URL controller class and I want to tell this Spring project that it is not a normal class. It is a controller class. Controller means it will control your requests and will return you and will response you to particular requests. So how do you make this class as a controller? Just write @controller annotation. This is called annotation. By writing this single word, you have made this class a controller. Controller means whenever any request comes to this project, the controller will manage. Means controller manages every request. So how you can manage the slash request? Because this is called slash. Okay, slash. The homepage means slash. It is also called slash. So how do you configure this slash request? So you have to write here @request mapping. Okay, request mapping value equal to slash. Okay, comma method equal to request mapping dot get. This is called get. Whenever you search for any URL, this is called get. And when you share some data like form, if you fill any form like username, password and press submit button, that is called post request. But if you want to search any web page, this URL is like get request. Okay. So request mapping get. Now for this slash, the following method will work. Public string like the method name. Okay. Return in double quote the file name. What is the error? Request method dot get. Okay. So for every individual page, you have to use request mapping like this. Like if we have a register page. Okay, so slash register. This is the method name. You can write whatever method name you want. Okay, for register. If you write slash, it will return you index page. If you write slash register, it will return you register page. If you write slash about us, it will return you about us page. If you write slash contact us, it will return you contact us page. So you have to create every page here. And for every single page, you have to write the mapping for every single page. Okay. For every single page, you have to map the requests. That is everything and nothing else. So like in view, new file, register.jsp. Okay, this is the register page. Register. So we have created two pages, index and register, and we also have mapping for these two pages. If someone writes here like slash, it will return you index page, and if someone writes here slash register, it will return you register page. But what is the problem? Now, if we are using JSP, okay, if we are using JSP, then we have to add two more dependencies for JSP. The first one is Jasper and second one is JSTL. Let's add those dependencies, then it will run. Dependency, dependency, artifact ID, artifact ID is, sorry, group ID, group ID, artifact ID. So what is the group ID? The group ID is org.apache dot tomcat dot embed. Okay, this is the group ID for Jasper. The artifact ID is tomcat hyphen embed Jasper. Okay, always in dependency we have added Jasper, and the second dependency we have to add group ID and artifact ID. The group ID we have to add servlet java x dot servlet, and in artifact ID we have to JSTL Java Standard Tag Library. Now it is okay. Okay, Tomcat started and port number 8080. Now right here slash or slash register. So what is the error? Circular view path register would acha. In application.properties, we have to resolve. Okay, we have to resolve view part. Like for this view, it is not able to find where the index and register page is. So we have to use spring dot MVC dot view dot prefix equal to slash webinf slash view. Okay, and suffix view slash inside view, and spring dot MVC dot view dot, that was prefix and now it is suffix equal to dot JSP. Means every, like this is index, URL container, this is index. So where this index file is, the prefix means before this index, prefix means webinf view. You can find it, you can find this index or register file in webinf and view, and after this index and register file just put .jsp. It means webinf view folder JSP file. Which JSP file? Index.jsp, register.jsp. Now it is okay. Slash slash register. Still it is not working. Let me check. So what is the error here? Complete installation. Meta inf. Web app. Web inf, it is okay. And this is view. In application properties, web inf, this is view.jsp. It is Microsoft database, localhost spelling is correct. Microsoft create database if not exists, not exist, not exists. So create create database if not exist. Okay. So we can do something like stop the server. Okay. Again, restart the application. Run. Sometimes what you have to do is like close the project, again start the project. See, Tomcat started in port 8080. Localhost 8080. Now it is running. So what we have done? Nothing. We just restart the project. Okay. So if you write here slash, it will return you this because this is index. And if you write here slash register, it will return you register page. In register page, what we have register. Okay. So this is the URL. And for every URL, this is the request. For every URL, what you have to do? You have to map this particular URL in your URL controller. If you have about us page, settings page, product page, add to cart page, there are so many pages you might have in your project. So for every single page, you have to add here the request mapping. This is the URL. And for this particular URL, this method will work and it will return you this JSP page. So now let's see if Microsoft database is created or not. Say this Microsoft. Okay. So just go to MySQL in my computer, root, use Microsoft semicolon. See, database changed. Select database, Microsoft. It means you have Microsoft database. Like, see, if you use Mintra semicolon, what it is? Unknown database Mintra, because there is no database Mintra. Okay. Now here create Mintra database. Mintra. Okay. It is like again restarted. Now check. Use Mintra. Database changed. It means now you have Mintra database. It means what is happening here? Whatever you are making here changes, it is working according to the changes. It is like executing the changes. Create database Mintra, create database if not exist. True. We did not have Mintra database. It has created. Like use ABCD semicolon. Unknown database ABCD. There is no database ABCD. Again use ABCD. There is no database ABCD. Just create here ABCD. Okay. Now it has restarted. Again check. Use ABCD. Database changed. It means now you have ABCD database. So it is like we have made the connection between this Java project and our MySQL server, MySQL like database engine. So the basic part is done. We have created few JSP pages. We have configured the database and view resolver. We have configured POM XML file. We have the controller part also. Okay. Now we want to store. We want to create any database, like just start with Microsoft. Okay. MySQL, you use Microsoft. Database changed. And see list of tables. Show tables. Empty set. There is no table in Microsoft database. So we just want to create table. And I told you that you don't have to write SQL queries here. So what do we do here? for database tables. So this is the controller package. Again, create a package, new folder, model. Like this is MVC, model view controller. What this controller is used for? Controller is used for controlling the requests and responses, like managing requests and responses. This is the controller. What is this model will be used for? The model will be used for creating tables into your database. So we don't have to write create table, table name, column and all. We just have to create Java class. Table will be automatically created using the class. Okay. Let's say an example, like in model, create a Java class, new file, student.java, person.java, person.java. What is this class? In person.java, uh, in person.java, what you want to do? So I want to create a person class. Okay. And in person class, I would have private long ID, means person ID, then private string name, person name, private string email. Okay. Let's have these three fields. So ID, name, and email. Let's have a city, private city, city. Okay. Chalo. Okay. So here we have four fields. Right now it is a normal Java class. It is not a table. See here, show tables, empty set. Okay. So I want this ID, means person ID, to set as a private key. Sorry, primary key. Okay. So what you have to write here? Whatever field you want to set as a private key, primary key, you have to write @ID. Now this ID is primary key. If you want to set this email ID as a primary key, you have to write @ID. So whatever field you want to set as a primary key, just write @ID before that field. Okay. Now I don't want to set the ID. I want this Java to set the value of ID, like auto increment type, like 1, 2, 3, 4. It will automatically be set. We will not set this ID. We will just set name, email, and city. We will not set ID. We want ID to be automatically be set. Okay. So what you have to do? @generation. Sorry. @generated. Generated value. Okay. Generated value. Sorry. Strategy equal to. So strategy equal to generation type dot identity. Now this ID will be automatically generated. We will not have to generate any ID. The first record you will insert into your database, that record will have ID 1. Again, the next record will have ID 2, next 3, next 4, 5, and all. Okay. So if you want to get this name, get this email, get this city, you have to have getter. If you want to set this name, set email, set city, you want to have like you have to have setter. So how do we create getter and setter? So to create setter, public void set name, string name. This date name equal to name. So we have set the name. Okay. You have to set email now. Set email. Okay, city, city, city. Say, this is the setter. We have set name, email, and city. Now you want getter, public, uh, string, get name, return name. Okay, this is the getter. It will return you the name of the person. So get name, get email, city. So these are setters, these are getters. You can also create constructor. So public person. This is no argument constructor, means no parameterized constructor. If you want parameterized constructor, person, string name, comma, email, comma, city. So this dot name equal to name. This dot email equal to email. This dot city equal to city. Okay. So this is no parameterized constructor, or you can also say no argument constructor. This is parameterized constructor, means all argument constructor. Okay. As we have written it manually, you can also do this, like right click, source section, generate getters for all. Okay. See, public long get ID, string get name, get email, get city. Again, right click, source section. I want setters, generate setters for all. We have set city, set email, set name. That is what we have written previously. If you want constructor here, so right click, source section, generate constructor. Don't check anything. It means no argument constructor, public person. Okay. Right click, source section, generate constructor, check everything. It means all argument constructor, means parameterized constructor. So you can also generate like this. And there is another method, another solution for this. What we have added, a Lombok. Okay, Lombok dependency. Just write here at the rate data. Data plus. What this data means? Data means getter and setter is automatically written. You cannot see here getter and setters, but getters and setters are already written. You can directly use them. As this at the rate data annotation has written that. That is the power of Lombok. If you want constructors, at the rate, no argument constructor. It has already added no argument constructor into your code. You don't have to write that. You don't have to write that. All argument constructor. It have added parameterized constructor, means all argument constructor into your project. So this is the power. Now check, there is no table. Show tables, empty set. It means the table has not created yet. So how the table will be created according to this class? Just write here at the rate table, save. Now table is created. If you write at the rate table, it means this class is a table. Check that. Show tables. Acha, sorry. Again, run it, right click, run Java. Okay. Tomcat started in port number 8080. Show tables is nothing. Just write here person entity. Okay. Control is save. The server is restarted. Now check show tables person. Okay. Now we have tables in Microsoft database person. Check the person columns. Desk person. See, this is auto increment ID, big int, city, email, name. What we have here? Name, email, city. Okay. So this is the power that we don't have to write SQL queries. We don't have to write SQL queries. You just create a class, a Java class, and your table will be created according to this class rule, like whatever the field you have here. For string, it will be varchar. For long, it will be big int. For int, it will be int. For char, it will be char. For date, it will be date. For string, it will be varchar. So these are the basic things. Okay. There are so many other things which is not like possible in 2 hours to explain everything here. So this is the basic thing. This is not hard. It is very easy. The configuration is important. Once you have the complete configuration of a Spring project, then you can start working on the project, like coding part, working like on HTML forms, fetching the data from forms, and like storing those data into your database tables, like login, logout, add to cart, payment, and all. So this is the basic structure. Okay, this is the basic structure which we have to create at first. Configuration is important. So this is for today. Let's connect sometime else, like for the advanced part, like processing the data, login, logout, okay, API development and all. So this is the basic thing. We'll have another session regarding working on login, logout, session handling, data handling and all, form data. Okay, because in 2 hours, everything is not possible. So this is the basic thing. This is not hard. That is how we develop applications, web applications. Okay. So this is everything for today. समझ में आया सबको? थोड़ा बहुत भी आइडिया कुछ, लाइक व्हाट वी हैव डन टुडे? थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया मिला स्प्रिंग के बारे में?
यस सर।
बाकी लोगों को? धनश्री, जिपिन, कुछ आइडिया मिला? हेलो, जिपिन का आवाज नहीं आ रहा है। चलो कोई बात नहीं है, चैट में लिख दो, चैट में, यहाँ पे चैट में समझ में आया कि नहीं आया। तो ये था बेसिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन वगैरह की, हाउ वी कॉन्फ़िगर आवर पीसी फॉर स्प्रिंग बोट प्रोजेक्ट. Like you have to install JDK at first, then you have to configure Maven, install any IDE. Okay. So yes, it is clear so far. It's okay. तो हमें अपने पीसी को पहले कैसे कॉन्फ़िगर करना है स्प्रिंग बूट प्रोजेक्ट के लिए, उसके बाद जावा पे हमें काम कैसे करना है, ये pom.xml फाइल क्या होता है, एप्लीकेशन डॉट प्रॉपर्टीज फाइल क्या होता है, Then how do we manage requests? ठीक है, कौन सा रिक्वेस्ट के लिए कौन सा जेएसपी पेज होगा, जेएसपी पेज को व्यू कैसे रिजॉल्व करते हैं उसको हम लोग। उसके बाद वही सब चीजें जो आज हम लोग किए, यही सब बेसिक है। इसके बाद और बेसिक में कुछ नहीं है। अब हमें क्या करना होगा इसके बाद, तो पूरा CRUD ऑपरेशंस पे काम करना होगा कि टेबल तो बन गया, नाउ वी वांट टू स्टोर डेटा इनटू टेबल्स, वी वांट टू रिट्रीव डेटा फ्रॉम टेबल्स, वी वांट टू अपडेट डेटा इनटू टेबल्स। तो इसके लिए फिर से हम लोग कभी कनेक्ट हुआ जाएगा। हमारे पेज को फॉलो वगैरह कर लो, यूट्यूब पे भी चैनल है, इस पर हम लोग अपलोड कर देंगे सारा। जैसे youtube.com, यहाँ पे सर्च करना ऑक्टाकुलस लर्निंग, ऑक्टाकुलस लर्निंग में इसको फॉलो कर लो, सब्सक्राइब कर लेना यहाँ पे इसको। और इसी यूट्यूब सब्सक्राइब करना, और इस यूट्यूब चैनल पे ही हमारा ये लिंक्डइन, फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम भी मिलेगा पेज। ये सब सारे पेजेस पे जाकर उसको फॉलो कर लेना सब कोई। तो उससे फायदा क्या होगा, फ्रॉम द नेक्स्ट टाइम लाइक we'll be sharing the another workshop detail on this pages, on these pages. So सबको लगभग नोटिफिकेशन भी मिल जाएगा इससे कि कब हमारा नेक्स्ट वेबिनार या वर्कशॉप होने वाला है, किस टॉपिक पे होने वाला है। ठीक है, तो ऐसे ही धीरे धीरे सारे वेबिनार्स को अटेंड करो। जैसे कल हमारा 11 बजे से क्लाउड का वेबिनार है, यू मस्ट अटेंड टुमारोज वेबिनार फॉर द क्लाउड। कल हम लोग देखेंगे क्लाउड में कैसे काम करते हैं, लाइक हाउ डू वी मैनेज वर्चुअल सर्वर्स, हाउ वी कॉन्फ़िगर वर्चुअल सर्वर्स, हाउ वी डिप्लॉय एप्लीकेशंस, हाउ डू वी कॉन्फ़िगर डेटाबेसेस, व्हाट इज EC2, what is AWS, what is cloud, what is cloud computing, what is the benefit of using cloud computing, what type of cloud services like cloud service providers are providing like these days. So everything about cloud computing with practical, थोड़ा बहुत कल हम लोग वर्कशॉप करेंगे, तो आप लोग कल का भी वेबिनार ज्वाइन कर सकते हो। ठीक है, तो हैव यू अप्लाइड फॉर बोथ जिपिन, like for today's Java and tomorrow's? Okay, no problem. So we'll start tomorrow. Okay, and if you have any doubt regarding workshop, regarding classes, or like future or anything, you can also contact us. Here we have contact numbers also on our Facebook page, LinkedIn, and everything. Okay, so let's join tomorrow's webinar, and we'll see how to create account on AWS, how to manage the AWS account dashboard, how do we create or configure virtual servers, what are virtual servers, what is cloud computing, what is AWS, what is Azure, what is virtual server, how do we create databases or database engine on cloud, how do we migrate data on cloud, how do we deploy applications, like we can deploy this Java application on cloud so that you can access this project from anywhere, from any device. Right now you cannot access from any device this project because this project is deployed on my PC, like local PC. You cannot access it. So to make it accessible for every public from anywhere, any mobile device, any platform, you have to make it live. It means you have to deploy it on server. So tomorrow we'll see how to deploy applications, how to configure virtual servers and all. Okay, so thank you. Today's class is over. I'll upload today's class video on our YouTube channel. You can find that. Where you can find that? So youtube.com, just search here Octaculus Learning, subscribe that at first, go to Octaculus Learning, and in playlist, home videos playlist, community, in playlist you will see Java Spring Boot, cloud computing, database SQL, data science, Python, Java, programming in C. So Java Spring Boot. Here we have only 2 videos. Okay, so from today evening you will have the third video, like today's video. Okay, okay, done.